Hello, welcome to RDC's Story Corner, a place where there's always time for a story. I'm David, and I want to tell you two tales this morning. My first tale is about a hunter who goes into the wood, and the wood became a forest, and the forest became a jungle. And as the hunter was walking along, he stumbled, tripped, and fell upon something. When he looked down to see what it was he had stumbled, tripped, and fell upon, he saw a skull lying on the jungle floor. He knelt down beside it and he said to the skull, "What are you doing here?" And the skull looked up and said,
"Talking brought me here. And if you know what's good for you, you will keep your big mouth shut."
The hunter returned to the village, shaken, and he told everybody in the village about this skull that he'd found in the jungle. And soon word reached the king of the village. Now, the king of the village was a very angry man, and he demanded to be taken to this skull to see for himself what had occurred. So the next morning, the king and the hunter, they left the village. They walked into the forest. The forest soon became a jungle. And soon they came upon the skull lying on the jungle floor. The hunter knelt down beside the skull and he said to the skull, "Skull, I have the king with me. Please, don't let me down." And he looked up at the king, and the king scowled back down at the hunter. The hunter looked at the skull. "Skull," he said, "what brought you here?" And there was silence. The hunter looked at the king. The king was looking perplexed, looked back down at the hunter. The hunter looked back down at the skull and said to the skull, "Please, skull, don't let me down. The king gets a bit angry." "So, skull, what brought you here?" Stumm. Silence. Not a word. The hunter looked up at the king, and the king was going purple with apoplectic rage. Sweat started to pour from his brows, and he scowled down at the hunter. The hunter quickly looked down at the skull and said, "Skull, skull, please, please, what brought you here?" Nothing. Not a word. The hunter looked at the king looked at the hunter, then at the skull, then back at the hunter, and drew his sword, and with one mighty blow, he cut the hunter's head clean off of his shoulders. A couple of weeks later, a hunter was walking through the woods. And the woods soon became a forest, and the forest very soon became a jungle. And he stumbled, tripped, and fell upon something. And when he looked behind him to see what it was he'd stumbled, tripped, and fell upon, he saw two skulls lying on the jungle floor. He knelt down beside the skulls and said, "What brought you here?" And the skulls looked up and said, "Talking brought us here. And if you know what's good for you, you will keep your big mouth shut." My next story is about a king who wanted to have his hair cut. The only trouble was his barber was ill. So he called for another barber. This barber was very unfamiliar with the king's ways, but he knocked on the door. And the big man opened the door.
"Who are you?"
He said, "Oh, I'm a barber. I've come to cut the king's hair."
"Oh, come in,"
he said, and he opened the door. He opened it a little further. It's a big door. The barber walked in, and before he went any further, the big man held his hand up. "Stop," he said. "There is one thing I must tell you." "Oh," said the barber. "Oh," he's a bit nervous. "What's that?" he said.
"Whatever you see in this palace today, you must not tell anybody about. Otherwise, you will have your head cut off.
Oh, said the barber. Oh, no, don't worry about that. I'm just a poor barber. There's no way I'll be telling anybody anything.
Very well,
said the big man, and he led him down this great corridor, full of marble columns and gold gilt everywhere. And he led him to this small room at the end of the corridor. He knocked before he went in. Your Majesty, I have with me here the barber. And as he moved aside, the king was revealed, standing regally in the doorway. Come, 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 he went. The barber walked up to him. He bowed. Your Majesty, he said, it is such an honour, he said. I thank you very much for choosing me and allowing me to come here. Never mind that, said the king. Whatever you see here today, you must never tell anybody about. For if you do, I will cut your head clean off your shoulders. Oh, said the barber, no need for that. Do you promise me, said the king. Yes, said the barber, I promise you, I won't say anything about anything. Come, said the king, and they went into the room. Now the room was empty apart from one chair and a mirror. And the king sat down in the chair and he went, begin. And the barber went and opened his bag, got out his best scissors that he'd sharpened all night, and he went like that to the king's head, and the king went, stop, stop, stop. Oh, Your Majesty, one more time. Whatever you see here today, you must tell nobody about. Do you understand? Yes, yes, said the barber. Perfectly well, otherwise you'll cut my head clean off your shoulders, said the king. Yes, Your Majesty. Anyway, the barber started. Click, 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 click. After a couple of minutes, he realised that he'd cut all the king's hair, but the king still had his crown on. Your Majesty, he said, I've cut your hair. Oh, have you? Oh, that was quick. Let me have a look. And then he got the mirror and he held it up like that. Oh, said the king. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, Vidal himself couldn't have done such a good job. Marvellous. How much do I haven't quite finished yet, Your Majesty. I hope you don't mind me asking, but could you remove your crown so I can finish the haircut? Oh, okay, said the king, but listen here, he said. Don't forget, whatever you see here today in this room, you must tell nobody about, otherwise I will cut your head off. Oh, no, said the barber, I won't tell anybody anything, I promise you. Very well, said the king. He held his hand up like that. And he reached up and he took his crown off, 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 and he kept taking his crown off until eventually it came off, and he put it down on the floor. And the barber carried on cutting. Now, something very strange was happening whilst he was cutting the king's hair. For as he cut, he kept going up on one side and down again. And going across that king's head was all right, perfectly normal, till he got to the other side. And all of a sudden he went up. And then he went down again. And then he went across again. And up. And down. And he couldn't work it out. He kept cutting. Up and down. Up and down. In the end he had to stop. And he still couldn't work it out. He was a bit perplexed. And he said to the king, I've finished, Your Majesty. Good, said the king. Let me look, let me look, let me look. Oh. And he picked the mirror up and oh, he said, that's marvellous. Oh, that's I look like a young Paul Newman. That's marvellous. What a lovely haircut you've given me. Don't tell anybody what you saw here today, or I'll cut your head off. Yeah, no, that's fine, said the barber. No problem, I got that bit on his head. Thank you, Your Majesty. The king got up and he put his hands in his pockets. He pulled out 4 gold coins. And he put 1, 2, 3, 4. And as the barber went to take his hand away, the king grabbed his wrist. And it was a little bit like that. He said, listen to me, barber, said the king. You must promise me faithfully you'll tell nobody what you saw in this room. No, I promise you. I promise you faithfully, Your Majesty. I won't tell anybody. Although on the back of his head, the barber didn't know what he had seen. Anyway, he left the palace. With his 4 gold coins, he went straight down to the shop to spend some money. And he went into the corner shop and he bought a pumpkin and some goat's milk. Hello, said the corner man. Hello, he said. Where have you been? He said, I've been up to the palace to cut the king's hair. Wow, that's fantastic. I'm just going to go and get your goat's milk. I won't be a minute. And he went through the little curtain at the back of the shop. And whilst the barber was standing there, he couldn't stop thinking about what it was he'd seen. And then it came to him in a flash, just as the man came out with his goat's milk. Guess what? He said to the man. The king's got donkey, you... And he suddenly remembered what the king had said about saying anything. I beg your pardon, barber, said the cornerman. The king's got donkey, you. The king's got what? Nothing, he went. Nothing. Go, give me my milk. And he gave him his money, and he took his pumpkin and his milk, and he went off down the road. And as he went down the road, he saw his mate on a bicycle like that. And he went, hello, barber. I hear you've been up the palace. Yeah, he said, guess what? The king's got donkey, you. I beg your pardon, the king's got donkey, you. Because he realised he knew what it was and he couldn't tell anybody. Eventually he got home and his wife come to the door. Oh, my husband, I'm so proud. Oh, beautiful husband, what a lovely husband you are. And you've been up, you've been cutting. He said, guess what, wife, the king's got donkey, you. I beg your pardon, the king's got donkey, you. He couldn't say it. His mother come out. Oh, my boy. Oh, proud. You've been up cutting the king's hair. Oh, it's marvellous. Come, give me... Mum, he went, the king's got donkey, you. She said, I beg your pardon. The king's got donkey, you. He couldn't say it. He could have the hair cut off. Okay, the king's got donkey, you. For 4 days, everywhere he went. Hello, barber. Guess what? The king's got donkey. Hello, barber. Guess what? The king's got donkey, you. Guess what? The king's got... And 4 days he went on like this until the end he could take it no more. And he went up into the woods. And he went deep into the woods where the birds didn't sing, where the squirrels didn't play with their nuts. And he's come up to the biggest tree in the woods. And he stood in front of the tree and he went, the king's got donkey ears. 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 The king's got donkey... Hey, the king's got donkey ears. And he finally got it out of his system. And he went back home, a much relieved man. In the next couple of days... invitations went out across the kingdom. See, it was the king's birthday. Now, the king was a great lover of music. And he was going to have this great big party for all the residents of his kingdom. So he called for his fine musicians, and one in particular he loved, and that was his drummer. He loved drumming, the king. And he called the drummer, and he said to the drummer, drummer, I'm going to have a party. And I would like you to make me the bestest drum in the whole wide world. Oh, what an honour. Thank you, Your Majesty, he said. Thank you. Nice haircut, by the way. And he went off into the forest. And he went deep into the forest. And he went to where the birds didn't sing and the squirrels didn't play with their nuts. And he saw a great big tree. And he went up to it and he tapped it like that. This'll do, he said. And he hewed himself a bough, and he took it home and he rubbed it, and he shaved it, and he sawed it, and he hacked it, and he put a big goat skin over it, like that, and he made a beautiful drum from the bough that he hewed down from this forest. And in the next couple of days, people started to gather from all over the land, and a big party took place. The barber was there with his wife and his mother, and they come down, and everyone was dancing, and then the musicians came on, and the king went, where is my drummer? And the drummer turned up, and he started to play his big drum. And everybody danced, and everybody sang, everybody drank and ate, and then after a while, the drum started to change its tune a little. Instead of going, do, it started to go, the king's got donkey ears, the king's got donkey ears, the king's got donkey ears, the king got... Stop! Said the king, apoplectic with rage. Who has told people about my ears? You, he said, and he looked straight at the barber. Come here. Well, the barber was shaking, and he walked towards the king.
"Bring me my executioner," said the king. And the crowd parted. And there, in the distance, was a huge man, dressed all in black, with a black hood over his head, and a great big double-edged axe. And he walked forward, and he got the barber's head, and he pushed him down to the ground. And he picked up his axe, and he just pulled it back like that to cut his head off, when all of a sudden there was a scream. "Stop!" "Whoa," said the executioner, and he put his axe down sheepishly, for it was the king's wife, a fearsome lady. "What are you doing?" she said. The king went, "He's told everybody about my ears." "Your ears?" she went. "Your ears? Don't be ridiculous. Stand up, barber." The barber stood up, shaking. Go away," she said. "I'll deal with this." "What do you mean, your ears?" "Well," said the king, he told everybody about my donkey ears." Your ears are the most beautiful things you have." The king stood up. He was a bit shocked by it. "What do you mean?" he said to his wife. "We're all individuals, aren't we?" she said to the whole crowd. And 4,000 people went, "Yes, we're all individuals." "And we're all unique," she said. "Yes, we're all..." "It's right enough," she said. "Right. We're all different. And your ears are very special. And do you know why, Your Majesty?" "No," he went. She said, "Because they're yours, and yours alone." And she started pointing at people. "Look at his big nose. Look at his little ears. Look at his hair. Look at that spot on that woman's forehead. We're all different, and all of us have got beautiful things. And we must cherish those beautiful things, because they are what makes us. Wouldn't it be boring if we were all the same? We're not. Take your crown off," she said. And the king suddenly realised that actually we are all unique. We're all different. And we have to celebrate our differences and our uniqueness in their life. And by doing that, everybody will get on beautifully. And he took his crown off like that. And as he took his crown off, these two great ears went boing, 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 and stood right up. And from that day forth, the king walked around with fully erect ear rolls all over the kingdom. And everybody walked around, everybody complimented on each other. "Oh, Matthew, what a lovely big nose you've got. It's beautiful. I love that square jaw of yours, Dave. That's beautiful. And Margaret, what a lovely..." And from that day forth, everybody lived happily ever after. Thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've got a story you'd like me to tell, why don't you leave it in the comments below, and I will read it out to everybody over the next couple of days. Do join me again for another story. Bye-bye now.